listening to Combat Sports UK.
Combat Sports UK.
The UFC is back in Seattle this weekend as Henry Cejudo takes on Song Yadong in the main event. This card has took an absolute batter, and this looks like one of the best fight nights of the year, not on Saudi Arabia levels. There's never going to be a fight night on that level, but it's took a serious hammering with Steve Garcia, Edson Barboza fall off it. Curtis Blades fell off the card as well. He's been moved to 3-1-3 against Kunyev. And of course the announcement that Dominic Cruz had to pull out injured and has now retired, which was also meant to be on this fight. Still a very, very good fight, or good card for a fight night, to be fair. I'm here with John as always, and we're going to give you our picks. Do you want to kick us off with Henry Cejudo and Song Yadong?
So I've been going back and forth on this fight. I don't know how you've been, but
not really.
Cejudo, no? Okay, well, I was thinking like Cejudo is not, he didn't look horrible as we all thought he would do after coming out of retirement. He fought, Sterling, a wrestler. He was one round or one scorecard away from winning that. He fought Merab, who we all know what Merab just did to Umar, and still he beat O'Malley. So he's on his crazy streak. And Yadong's coming off a loss. My pick here is that it is Song Yadong by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised either way if Cejudo got it by decision if he just wrestled Yadong for 5 rounds. And it's the first time Cejudo's not facing a wrestler in the bantamweight division. The fact that they gave him now Yadong as the main event, I think would be kind of exciting. It's depending if Cejudo could keep up with Yadong's striking. And at the time of this video, I'm going as Yadong decision win.
It is a tight fight, but I've arrived at the same conclusion. I'm going for a Song Yadong decision win, but I probably arrived there a bit easier. And I think you can look at all the stats in the world, but the one that matters most here is the one that goes up each year, and that's your age. Henry Cejudo is now 38. Song Yadong's only 27. I kind of forgot how young he is. It feels like he's been about forever, but he's 27. He's still in his prime, and we know in these lighter weight classes, we know age is such a big factor. Once your speed goes, you're pretty much gone. As you say, if Cejudo could take Song Yadong down and grapple him or out wrestle him for 5 rounds, but Song Yadong, he's got a 75% takedown defense. I think that'll be good enough to defend most of the takedowns of Henry Cejudo. The reason I'm saying a unanimous decision win is because I do think Cejudo is going to win rounds. I think he might win 1 or 2 rounds. I think he will land takedowns maybe in the first couple of rounds, but once Song Yadong knows or gets that read on the takedowns, I think he will be able to stop them. And I think on the feet, this is only going to go one way. And I think it's quite obvious who wins this on the feet. This could come back to bite me in the arse, but I think it's quite obvious that Song Yadong is the better fighter on the feet here. And I think that's where he's going to get the job done. 27 years old in his prime, taking on a 38-year-old Henry Cejudo. I think it's going to be a Song Yadong decision win as well. It is a good fight. Stylistically, it's a good one. It's a grappler against mainly a striker in Song Yadong. It all comes down to that takedown defense, really, to see what kind of level that's at in this fight for Song Yadong. Talking about grapplers, let's talk about the 2 submission specialists in the co-main event. Alexander Fluffy Hernandez taking on Brendan Allen. Fluffy Hernandez is on serious form right now. A 6 fight win streak. Michael Pereira, Kopilov, Shabazian. Some really good names in there. For Brendan Allen had the perfect 2023. I kind of, not that I would have given fighter of the year, but he was in conversation for it anyway. 3 fights, 3 submissions. 2024 was a wee bit lackluster. He beat Curtis Blades in that kind of funny split decision, and then he lost to Imavov. To be fair, that loss against Curtis Blades. He
didn't beat Curtis Blades.
No way he's beating Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades eats him for breakfast. But the loss against Imavov, it doesn't look as bad now. A couple weeks ago, he knocked out Adesanya. Between these 2 guys, there's 11 submissions between them in the UFC. I think this is going to be a scenario where we do see top class grappling. I think they'll both be chasing submissions off their back, looking for the hooks, getting rear naked chokes, and I think it will be exciting to watch, but I think they will cancel each other out. They have fought before as well. These guys have fought before and before the UFC days, but I think they're going to cancel each other out, and I think it comes down to the feet. And I think on the feet, Alexander Fluffy Hernandez gets the nod for me. I think he's going to be better than Brendan Allen, and I'm picking him for a unanimous decision win in this one as well. As I said, the grappling's going to be brilliant here. It's going to be so good, but as much as these guys are really good at attacking submissions, they're just as good at defending them, and I think that's why it's going to cancel each other out on the ground, and Alexander Hernandez is just going to outland Brendan Allen on the feet and come to a decision win.
And Fluffy Hernandez, well, first of all, both them, Allen and Hernandez, since Allen lost to Strickland, he went on a crazy streak. For Fluffy, I think he's on a crazy 6-fight win streak, only one of it coming by decision, and that was to to Josh Freeman, but he ground and pounded Shabazz, and he arm triangle Barriot. He submitted Vieira, black belt world champion. He submitted Kapilov, and people had Kapilov as like a high prospect in the middleweight division, and
laughing at it as well.
We're laughing as he done it. It was in front of the crowd. Everybody loved it. He became a fan favorite, like a real fan favorite after that. And then they rewarded him with a main event versus an exciting fighter, Michel Pereira, who's a crazy striker, and he's ground and pounding him in the 5th round. He just broke him down for 5 rounds. I think just based on me talking about it, I'm going with a Anthony Hernandez. I'm going with a submission win for Hernandez. Let's say round 2 submission for Fluffy.
I'm looking forward to that one. That'll be a really good fight. I love it when 2 submission specialists do go at it. Hopefully it's not like Petrosky and Vieira, the fight you just mentioned, that kind of turned into a bit of a shit kickboxing match, didn't it? Because sometimes that happens when grapplers are matched up against each other. So hopefully that's not the case here. We do see some top level grappling and maybe even a wee submission from one of them to end it. Rob Font is back in action, taking on the undefeated Gene Matsumoto. This is 11 years in the UFC for Rob Font against Matsumoto, who he's looked really, really good. He won in Dana White's Contender Series in 2023, won 3 fights. No, he's won 2 fights since this is his 3rd fight. Where are you going with this one?
I'm going with the vet. I think the vet has been prepared to fight this weekend, right? He was prepared to fight Cruz. Rob Font, we say, probably has the best boxing in the bantamweight division, which I don't believe, but he does a really good jab. I think it's one of the best jabs in the division, especially with the New England Cartels gym. Him and Cater, who we just saw, unfortunately, lose this past weekend. But Font just loses. Font is also like Yadong kind of, but he's a gatekeeper of the top 5. He can't make it past the top 5, but he's good enough to beat everybody outside the top 5. He knocks out Yanez when Yanez is in a crazy streak. He can't beat Sanhagen. Not a lot of people do. Couldn't beat Figueredo. Figueredo, was in a crazy streak. Couldn't beat Aldo. Aldo's a favorite. But everybody who else, Garbrandt, Moraes, Ricky Simone, Sergio Pettis, he beats all of them. So I believe Font, the veteran here, will know what to do in a short notice fight. I think he will, as good as Matsumoto looked in Contender Series, I don't think he quite impressed me since he got into the UFC. He came in and we're guillotined, but he got a decision versus Brad Katona. I think Brad Katona, you got to finish that guy and prove you're a top echelon division. Katona could be a tough guy, but you definitely want to show out. And I think as your 3rd fight in UFC is Rob Font, a ranked fight on short notice, I think will be quite tough for you. Font has the experience. He's been in there. He's been on short notice fights. He's been on fights that have been canceled and getting a short notice fighter coming in. I think Font knows exactly what to do, especially it's only 3 rounds, not 5 rounds, which Font has been fighting some main events a lot of times, like Aldo, Vera, and all that. I think he'll know what to do and show the work how the vet's supposed to be in the UFC.
I've been swaying a lot on this one. I've been swaying a hell of a lot. It is a very close fight. Stylistically, it is actually a decent matchup for Rob Font. As someone that's not really going to try and take him down. Yeah, Matsumoto will stand and trade with him on the fight. Rob Font, as you say, working with Calvin Cater, the boxing coming out of that gym is on top. It's at a serious level. Calvin Cater wasn't able to show it last weekend against Salal, of course. But for Rob Font, I think the experience might get it done here. But at the same time, I'm looking similar to the main event. We've got Rob Font, who's aged 37 now, taking on Matsumoto, who's 25. You wonder, is the speed kind of lost with Rob Font slightly, taking on someone who, like Matsumoto at 25, he's not even coming into his prime yet. I do keep swaying on it. I'm gonna go with you in this one, John. I'm gonna go for a Rob Font decision. Not 100% confident because on my notes I do have a Matsumoto decision wrote down, but just as I'm thinking about it, I think Rob Font's experience may get it done. This is going to be a good fight. I think this will be a good one. It's a very, very tight fight. It's a coin flip, really. Looking at it, it could go either way.
Matsumoto also likes going to decision a lot. Like he doesn't,
Yeah,
he has 6 wins.
I don't think he's got any knockouts in his whole pro career, so.
He has, 3 knockouts, but I don't know if it's pro. He has 6 submissions and 7 decisions. So, he likes to take it easy in a way, and I think Font will come out.
Now, this next fight is going to be fight tonight. You heard it here first. Gene Silva taking on Milsic Bagdasarian. I can't wait for this one. It's 2 stand-up fighters. Gene Silva on an 11-fight win streak. He's a madman. The Fighting Nerds, he's the featherweight representative for them. Obviously, Fighting Nerds, we've spoke about it so many times on this channel. They are going from strength to strength. The gym of the year by far in 2024. Bagdasarian Bagdasarian, he's 19 months away from the sport. He's 3-1 in the UFC, and he had 3 bouts made in 2024 and they all fell through. Silva, to me, looking at this, I think Silva will use his grappling here to set up strikes, but I think primarily this fight will stay on the feet. They're both very exciting fighters. You have a really good kickboxer in Bagdasarian as well. I think Bagdasarian keeps it slightly more simple than Gene Silva. I think he likes the jab and sort of kicking a bit more, whereas Gene Silva, you know, the elbows, will throw anything in there. I think the way this fight is going to go is Gene Silva's going to get a finish in the 3rd round. I think the 1st round, Gene Silva, watching back at him, he does tend to take the 1st round easy enough. He kind of likes to make reads. He's a very, very intelligent striker. He likes to make reads, and I think he'll do that with Bagdasarian. He'll let Bagdasarian come in the 1st round, and then in the 2nd round and 3rd round, that's when he really starts countering once he makes them reads and once he kind of sees holes in Bagdasarian's game. And he might even let Bagdasarian build up a bit of confidence and think, I can come into range with Gene Silva, and then he's going to punish him for that. I think he gets it done in round 3.
I also think Silva, exactly how you said it, the counters will look beautiful. He might take a little bit off in the 1st round, but I think it'll be only the 1st minute. I think he'll see that Milsic is not even on his level, and I do see John Silva finishing this a round 1.
Round 1.
TKO.
Do you see a
finish.
big discrepancy between the level of these two?
I do see a little bit. You know, Milsic has been, so his 3 fights he was scheduling and it got called off, but 2 of them was because he was injured. Mm-hmm. So I want to see his level of healthiness, how he's able to come back. You know, it's not like he's coming back versus a nobody. He's fighting against somebody who's from Fighting Nerds, who's been fighting. He literally just fought on the John Jones card in November, right? Nobody wants to fight Silva, so
he's exciting too, isn't he? He's an absolute madman.
He's so exciting. If this is not fight of the night, this is performance of the night. We will see a quick knockout. If this is a fight of the night, this will be an amazing 1-round fight. But again, I do question the level of healthiness, cardio, and just pure will of Milsic Bagdasarian, how he will do against John Silva.
It is a good question to ask. So you're going round 1, I'm going round 3, but we're both committed to Gene Silva's 12th fight, or 12th win in a row here if he gets it done. What a streak that is. Main card opener then, Alonzo Menifield taking on Julius Walker, who's making his UFC debut. I talked about how much this card took a batter, and this was another fight that had to pull out Marseille. Pulled out just a couple of weeks ago, and Walker getting that late notice, a UFC debut to step in and fight UFC veteran Menifield. This is a big step up for Julius Walker. He's only 6-0. He's still a baby to the pro game, really, in comparison to someone like Menifield, who's had 14 UFC fights. What way do you think this one's going to go?
This one I was also going back and forth, and like it was kind of my counter argument of Rob Font versus that fight. Like Rob Font's a veteran, short notice fighter. He'll know what to do. But Alonzo Menifield's been looking weird lately with some low fight IQ.
The Carlos Ulberg one, that was fucking mental, wasn't it? Just
right,
finished within 12 seconds.
And I hope he knows who he's fighting. Julius has all finishes. I don't think he's ever seen the 3rd round. There's a reason I wouldn't say he's on the main card opener for this. I will go Julius Walker by knockout. I think Menifield will probably be patient. He's not obviously going to do what he did with Ulberg, but that way he's going to get caught like that as well. I just think it's going to be kind of the opposite. He's not going to rush or do anything. And as soon as he does something, we'll see Walker land the knockout punch on him.
Gives a round.
I'm going to say Walker round 2 finish.
I'm going the same. I think Walker gets it done in round 2 as well. So it's always hard to tell when you have someone that's outside the UFC, unless they're fighting at the top level of PFL or an organisation like that. You know, like when they're on Fury or LFA and these kind of shows, it's hard to tell just how good they are. You know, you look at the records of the guys they're fighting, and it's usually not great. Julius Walker does have a win over, who was it he beat? 2 seconds. Yes, Ben Van Lewis he beat, who was in the UFC, of course, but he was 1-3 in the UFC. So can you really say was a UFC caliber? It's just so hard to tell. It's a big step up for Julius Walker, but in the same hand, I think he's good enough to get the job done. I think Menifield, everything that you said, he's a bit heavy, or for the sort of size of him, maybe doesn't fit perfectly into the light heavyweight division. We've seen him against Murzakanov. His cardio just completely betrayed him in round 2 of that fight. And I think I think it's going to be something similar. What Walker does have is a good ground game. Manyfield doesn't really have a ground game, but Walker does. We've seen that in his fights in the regional scenes. He's getting triangle chokes, arm bars, looking for takedowns and ground and pounding and all this good kind of stuff. So I think he will take Manyfield down in the first round. I think he'll gas him out. I think he'll know that his cardio probably is a bit superior to Alonso Manyfield's. I think he gasses him out after the first round for a takedown, grinds that round out. In round 2, he takes advantage of the poor gas tank, and I think he gets. I'm going to go with TKO. I think he'll back him up against the cage and maybe a bit of ground and pound. For Manyfield here, he's going to have to intelligently close the distance, isn't he, and try and get inside the reach. But based off his last couple of fights, does he have that kind of intelligence? Does he have that fight IQ? They not rush in and to know to be patient and make angles, cut corners, and set up getting in their range? Because that there against Carlos Ulberg, like for someone that's in so many fights in the UFC, how do you think you can just charge someone like Carlos Ulberg down like that and get a finish? I was only going to go one way whenever he charged him like that.
Right. And Ulberg doesn't have a lot of fights in UFC either. Like, sure, he trains with city kickboxing and has amateur fights, but when you're in UFC, it's a new level, especially when you're. I think they were co-maining, or at least they were in front of a crowd. You just showed that you have low fight IQ. You're kind of just had a crazy, you had a hot, crazy win streak to get into the rankings. Now you're kind of losing it.
Aye, it was a strange one for sure. And that brings us to an end of this video. We're both going round for Julius Walker in the main card opener. As I said, this card's took an absolute beating. It's kind of UFC 303 levels, but it's still a pretty good card for a fight night. So I hope the fans in Seattle are treated to a good one. Make sure that you enjoy the fights no matter where you are watching them this weekend. We will be back on Monday or Tuesday to do a roundup of what goes on. Make sure to like, share and subscribe to the Combat Sports UK YouTube channel, and we will see you in the next video.